There's a popular idea that we need to learn how to love ourselves, but it's not true. We have no problem at all loving ourselves. Now, we might feel awful things like loathing, shame, but that's because we are failing to meet the image we have of ourselves, or the standards we are aspiring to live up to, or even the standards that others have laid on us. When we don't meet those standards, we're disappointed because we know we're better than that. Welcome to Morning Tea. I'm Joanne Jolie, coming to you from the Pinnacle American Record Studio at the Peaks, overlooking the magnificent metropolitan Phoenix Valley. You're no doubt aware of the idiom, self-preservation is the first law of nature. Self-preservation is the instinct to act in your own best interest and to protect yourself and ensure your survival. And there's plenty of interesting scientific research on our primitive reaction to any threat to self. So it follows along that humans will have a natural inclination to think of their well-being first. Observe the violent tantrums of toddlers when self has been denied or there is suffering in some way. Have you ever tried to get the truth out of one of these little raw human beings who will lie to your face to the death, hand in the cookie jar, looking right into your eyes and telling you, I didn't do it, I didn't do it. I mean, it's really something to behold if you haven't raised children. We're taught all about self and business sales. If you want to get someone interested in your product or service, don't talk very much about yourself. It's all about them. It's all about what benefit they are going to receive, how this is going to help them. We're reminded that most people don't care a slight for who you are unless they're going to gain from you in some way. And even in the case of suicide, he is looking out for himself as he attempts to escape the misery he's experiencing. In fact, suicide is one of the most selfish actions you can take on behalf of yourself. There's no concern whatsoever for the destruction you're going to cause to the loved ones who get left behind, who are going to be devastated by that action. Now, pride plays a big part in this. It can act as a defensive mechanism to push away threats that keep us from feeling inferior or becoming irrelevant. Our sense of self is temporarily protected. Pride elevates us so we can look down on others. This world system is all about pride, and it places a premium on certain things like status, wealth, beauty, fame. It's the way it is, and it always has been. My husband and I were in Las Vegas walking in a mall, and he said to me, "You're not going to believe it, but look over there," and there it was, a movie star in the flesh. It's really quite dazzling to see someone in real life who is worshipped by the world. There's people flocking around to get a selfie or an autograph, and it's funny because we know that they're just ordinary people with lots of problems like us, but who without their status would probably likely be uninterested. But with pride, you're right, you become entitled. But pride is a spiritual cancer. It eats up the very possibility of love or contentment or even common sense. So, what are you saying when you say, I hate myself? It may be because you're disappointed in your behavior. It may come out of covetousness because someone possesses what you wish you had and you feel less than. You may be frustrated with your personal weaknesses and your failure to stay on the path you've set, or you experience shame from something in your past. It can even come from being overwhelmed with life. You're going through grief, you're going through other situations where it's difficult to cope and keep your head above water. But none of this is self-hatred. So what can you do when you hear yourself saying things like, I hate myself, I'm such a failure? What you have to do is get to the truth, process it, reframe it, and instead say, this is what's really going on. I am disgusted with myself for such and such. I did it because of this, or someone else did it to me because of that. And now you're going to prepare for the future, for the next time, and you're going to say, when I am in that place again, I'm going to do such and such to avoid falling down. And then put it behind you. Think about something nice. Do something nice for your spouse, for your family, for your charitable work. Just get your eyes and your mind off yourself. So in all of this, what we're doing is we're behaving as an unrighteous judge, but the judgments are upon ourselves with the condemnations on ourselves, calling ourselves names, how we don't measure up. So what you have to remember, who the judge really is, God, how does he see you? That's the truth that you can grasp onto and think about confidently. If you know that he loves you as his child, your conscience is clear, then that's the end of the story. And you have to make yourself stop listening to the accusations by yourself and by others who also judge you unrighteously. And I'll tell you that when I look at myself the way I know God sees me, I feel really good about myself. I know I'm worthy. I know I have great value. My life matters. Every single thing that I do is important, and it's going to work out for the good. And when I think about that, it's like, wow, I am so deeply thankful for that knowledge because it humbles me. I know I don't deserve it, and it provides me with great incentive to do even better. So how are you measuring yourself? Whose eyes are you seeing yourself through? Where did those standards originate that have created a cycle for you where perhaps you need to measure up, you try to attain it, you fail, and you live in a condition of loathing yourself for it? Or you've developed a powerful false sense of pride which has to be replaced with humility, with gratitude and self-denial. And you know how hard it is to put another human being in front of yourself? How about in your marriage? When two people occupy that space together, they can't have their way all the time. There are times when there has to be a sacrifice, what you want for what they want. Now don't get me wrong, marriage should never be a situation where you're walking all over someone else or someone else is walking on you, but each party sets aside self at different moments for the greater good. Both must be able to sacrifice, and this is where you learn what it means to love someone as much as you love yourself. If you've been difficult to your spouse or to your family, then you really need to start practicing self-sacrifice. Do it in little ways. For example, if there's a family debate going on about where should we have dinner tonight? Should we have Chinese or should we have Italian? What you can say is, oh, I'll just go with the majority. And when that's picked, you're going to be bright and cheerful and happy about whichever one wins, even if it's not your preference. One of the greatest and most important commandments, love your neighbor as you love yourself, from which comes the golden rule, do to others what you would have them do to you. Wouldn't this change the world? Isn't this exactly what we desperately need today? And it certainly recognizes how much we love ourselves and set our interests first. And again, the source of this truth. No one ever hates his own body, but nourishes and cherishes it. Thank you so much for being here. You're on your way. These videos are for you, to inspire you, to encourage you on your journey. So subscribe now, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye-bye.